All right, everybody, just going to give everyone just a minute or so here to hop on, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, everybody, we're a couple minutes past the hour. Go ahead and get started here. I'd like to thank everyone for joining our Lunch and Learn today on Tuesday, October 3rd. I am your gracious moderator and host, Tim Stahl. I'm the Senior Director of Solutions Architecture here at Decisions. I've got about 3-4 years in the tool. Started as a customer and joined the team a few years back and haven't looked back. As you see, throughout the week, we also have Ethan from our support team who'll be on October 4th. And Darren on our customer success team will be here on the 5th answering your questions. Let's go ahead and just check in a couple housekeeping things here real quick. Just in case you missed it, we do have Decisions end of life support. So we have end of life, all of versions up to including version 6. So the current versions that we have are 8, which is the most recent, and of course version 7, which is still on support. If you have any questions or comments on that, please feel free, reach out to your customer success manager or directly out to support@decisions.com. Something else new, our product roadmap. Next one is coming up on October 5th. These are every other Thursday, and it's where our product team will be sharing the future of our no-code intelligent platform. Explore how the platform has improved over the last 6 months. More importantly, more interestingly, what you can expect that's coming in store for the next 18 months. Product team loves hearing from customers and your feedback in what you are looking for and what you'd like to do. So please join us every other Thursday, 11 to noon Eastern, and learn how to do that. To register for it, we have a link there. I believe that is to decisions.com/events and search for the product roadmap webinar. You'll see it on there and be able to register for it. So that being said, let's go ahead and dive in. We got quite a few questions today, some of which I'll be able to answer live and some of which I may have to ask you to continue to work with support on, but I will do what I can here. There's one that a couple that I've pre-prepared here. So I'm going to go ahead and run through those first. Again, as a little bit of housekeeping, if you do have any questions that come up during the meeting here, during the webinar, please feel free, drop it in the chat, drop it in the Q&A. We have moderators standing by looking at those, and they'll wave their hands at me virtually to take a look at those questions and try and get you some answers. So feel free, pop those in as I'm sitting here talking. It doesn't distract me at all. So on that note, one of the questions we had come in was a user had asked us if there is a way to make, actually, where is it real quick here? Actually, this is, so they want to display a checkbox in our report, which will be checked or unchecked on the basis of a true or false value in the field. So we have a couple ways to do that. And they threw me a couple curveballs in there too that I'll talk through with you, and some information that I've uncovered as well as part of this. But what we have here is, if we look at our this demo folder, so this is the latest, I think about 8.14 here. Yep. So we got the latest version of Decisions here. I've created a couple reports and a couple data structures here to kind of show this off. So what they're looking to do is have a data structure that basically, in this case, has a true or false value in it. So if we look here, I have a defined data structure or a database structure that has a name, an is/edit that's a Boolean, and a date time for date time. Very simple, very straightforward type of data structure. I created a flow here to just build some test data, just so we'd have some stuff to look at as part of this. So we're creating a random name and kind of saying true or false based on a random rule, getting a date, and then generating that that test data. In fact, we'll go ahead and run it again, get some more test data in there. But now what we want to do is actually take a look at that data on a report. And in their case, they said, we want it to be editable as well. So I have inline edit capability. So if we take a look at a report here, I've got my test Boolean data source, so that one that we just put a bunch of data in. I've got my name, my isEdit, and my date time on there. This is also an inline editable report. So if you click on it, you can see I can actually change, whether it's true or false here based on that. But I've also edited an icon flow. And what this allows you to do is based on some logic that you have in the report. So based on a field or a combination of fields, basically anything you can do with a flow, you can tell it whether to hide or show an icon, and you can define what those icons are. It doesn't have to be just true or false. It doesn't have to be just, a check mark or a box. It can be anything based on any logic you have. So to do this, what we would do is we set up our report. We put on our data source and our different fields here. On our isEdit field, we want to make sure that it is set to, where to go, can edit. So we go ahead and do that. And then we want to set up a color rule, so an icon flow here. So to do this, what we do is I'm going to hit the pencil. I've already added one, so I'll just take you through how it works. But we add this pencil here. We change our rule source by default is just a rule. So that simple logic, true or false. Does this equal this or this? But for an icon flow, we really get a whole lot more options here. So we'll leave it on icon flow. And I'll go ahead and edit that flow. As you can see, standard flow, right? You have your start, your end, and a little bit of logic here in the middle. Of course, I didn't rename any of the steps because I was doing this very quickly. But what I want to do is I want to pass some data in so I have something to work with, right? So I passed in isEdit. So that's one of my columns. I went ahead and set that up as input data, told it it's Boolean, so it matches that column type in my report. I'm creating a piece of data called icon, and it's of type image info, right? So this is important because this allows us to work with the built-in icons within decisions, or use your own icons from elsewhere as well. But this is the data type you want to have set up for it. So icon, image info there. And then I have a rule here. So I'm trying to find out, is that value, isEdit, is it true or false? So is it checked or not checked? If it's checked, I come up here and I create another piece of data. So another image info, and I went ahead and selected a checkbox. So like if we look in here, we can actually, if I just search for check, there's a whole bunch of different ones you can use. I just found one that was pretty easy to style. So of course I got that, and it's got a little check in it. Change its color to green because green is good, correct? And we hit pick, and now that's ready to go. For my unchecked, so my the box isn't checked or it's set to false, I've got an unchecked box here. And you can see both of these are changing the value of icons, so that data that I created over here initially. Then what I do is I pass that icon out to the end flow. So that's how it knows, okay, I take a look at isEdit, if it's true, then we're going to take this and pass that out to the report. And if it's false, then we're going to take this image and pass that out to the report. And what you're left with, well, the last thing you have to do, is update your inputs. So if you're familiar with some of our rule flows, color flows, once you create them, you hit this little update button, and then you map that isEdit input that I asked for. I map it to a report field in my report. That's how that all maps together. And we go ahead and hit OK. And now what happens is you can see we have all those checkboxes or unchecked boxes here. So if I were to take and run this report now, it'll pull it full screen. I have my report viewer. I can see that now when I click in there, I can go ahead and change it. Now, the one thing we've noticed is it doesn't automatically run that rule again. So that's what I was working on right before this call started, was how to do that. But it looks like that is kind of how this is designed, is that rule icon flow only runs when the report is initially displayed. So you can also, if you wanted to, you can disable this true or false, so it's just the check or the uncheck. If you do that, one thing to note is you do lose the ability to actually change that data, because it's hiding it, right? It basically, if I tell it isEdit, I want to hide that text, so all I see is the check or the uncheck. Well, since I've done that now, the report doesn't know, well, how do you edit it? it doesn't have any context anymore of what that editing looks like. So again, ways to do it, but the functionality changes a little bit depending on what you actually want to do. And this does work the same way if you wanted to have it on a page, for example, here. Like I took that report, put a report viewer on here, set the report to that one we were just working on. And then if we took a look at the page, I was on the wrong one here, we can see that report's there with all that data on it that we had. Now, how to set this up is actually on our documentation site. Let's see here. If we go out to documentation, let me go back here. It's actually this allow using, hang on, it's actually got the wrong page up here. That's interesting. There we go, using icons on reports. So if you go out to documentation.decisions.com and search for this, we actually have a whole document on how to set this up, videos on how you actually set the flow up itself, and all of that to do this exact same demonstration I just did. So that was that question. Let's see, there was another on the report. Yeah, so actually the next one we were looking at, we had someone ask if there was a way to remove administrative options on a case details page. And actually, it sounds like it's something that's going to be pretty difficult, but it's actually pretty straightforward. So I've kind of gotten this one prepped as well. So if we look at our test case here, we'll see that we have a just a case here that has started, it has completed. If I look, I've got some test data here where I've created a case. And if we look at the page, this is the page they're talking about, right? So this is your case details. It's just standard. You can see I did a really good job of putting default data in there. But it has these default options up top here. And what they're talking about is there's a manage that shows up here that has some kind of administrative tasks in it. And if you want to be able to hide that, it's actually as simple as using an action visibility rule on the case. So if you go in the cases configuration folder and click on action visibility rule, it'll set one up for you and bring it into the designer. Now I've already done one, so I'm going to edit the one that's there. But if we take a look here, we'll see that it's just a standard visibility rule, same way you would for the normal actions that you would do anywhere else in the platform. And what you do is you return true to filter out the action that you want to filter out, right? So in my case, I'm looking to get rid of the manage category entirely. So if the action category is manage and the user group, so the person who's actually looking at the case right now, if their list of groups contains administrators, then I want to hide that manage action. So that's what we were seeing back here is if we looked in our test data, we went back to our test case here, we'll see manage is gone. It doesn't exist right there. But now if I come in here and get rid of these rules here, I think I might actually have this thing open here real quick. Hang on one second. I think I double clicked it earlier. There we go. Let's go ahead and get rid of that stuff. If I go ahead and save this now with nothing in it, and I come back to my case here and refresh the page, you'll see manage is back. So again, it's a real straightforward way that if you're looking to get rid of, looking to remove some of these categories, if you want to do the whole category, you can just say action category equals, and that'll be that top level. It can also be down to this level as well. So you can say category page dashboard, and that'll get rid of this whole folder. You can also say the action equals, and maybe you just want to get rid of C audit history as an example. It'll really take anything you put in there. Or if you want to get rid of all actions that begin with S, you could do that as well. But if I went back in here and undid that and hit save, so we're back to where we're filtering it out, then again, if I hit refresh, we'll see that manage is gone again. So pretty straightforward way, just using action visibility rules. And again, those aren't out here. The bill, if I can type it correctly, if you go to search for action visibility, we have this document right here. It'll let me scroll up. Entity action visibility rules. That'll take you through all of how to set these up, how to use permissioning around them, levels of filtering that you can do. You can get very, very granular. One thing I would recommend is if you're doing these, leave this window open while you're editing them until you get it right. because you can accidentally turn stuff off for the administrators as well, and then support and us have to help you get it back. So these can, in this case, it's only going to affect this case, but there are ways you can end up getting in here that can affect the system globally. So what I recommend is, have this, if you're editing these, have it open here, and then have another page open that you can go into actually, do the, check and see, check your work and all that. All right. So another one that we had come up here. Let's see here. Oh, so we had one actually sent in the chat here. Let me read through it real quick. Error step decline, could not find running step data for step some number steps 500. So with that one, I would probably recommend, there's a question here related to having an issue with hitting an API within decisions, and you're getting a status 500. I would probably recommend on that one, reach out to support, have them walk through it with you on a screen share. That's probably gonna be the best way, because there's so many variables there that could cause that, or cause issues there, that it's probably best if they just walk through that with you live on your screen there. Let's see. So we have another one come in. Is there a way to know which flows modify information on a given database table? Right. So for that, let's see if there's a way. So there are a couple things you could do with that. So for example, if you wanted to find out, if you had a data structure in decisions, we'll say a database structure as an example, and you wanted to know what flows touched that database structure, what you could actually do, if we remember the one that I created here for my first example, my simple structure here, test Boolean. I know there's one flow that has it in there, but if we wanted, we could actually take our data structure itself and right click on it. We could go to dependencies and browse dependencies. And you can do this with anything in the system, any flow, any rule, any data structure, anything like that. You can go and hit browse, and it'll tell you what depend on that data structure, or basically what touches that data structure. So I can see there's a flow here that touches test Boolean. If I click on it, we'll see, okay, the flow depends on this. So that's an easy way to know where it's being used. And from here, you can actually right click and edit, and it'll bring you right into that flow that, in this case, I know this is the step that's actually doing that modification. So that's kind of how to find where it's being used within the platform. If you're talking about specifically which flow modified, after the fact, let's say you have the data structure, you've done some, you've written some flows and some data is being updated, you don't really know why. You could go through the dependencies to try and find it that way. Aside from that, it would probably be more auditing you would want to look into to identify, where that change is being made. Because by default, it doesn't actually, there's not a place that actually saves that as part of the flows that you build. But typically, using the dependency browser to go find the flow that's doing it is typically how folks find that. There was one question in here that unfortunately I do have to kick back to support. I wasn't able to find the answer in time for today's lunch and learn, and that was, how do you make a flow to iterate through a list of users to determine if they have an assigned task? I got a little bit down the rabbit hole on that one, and ran into a couple issues and wasn't able to get that resolved prior to the call starting today. So I would recommend, if you were the one that submitted that, please feel free to respond to that ticket and ask and have them pop on and help you get that. There are a number of steps within the toolbox under our system and under assignment here that should be able to like get assignment role for for folder by name or ID, or get assignment extension data. Like these right here should, or get accounts for assignment role, I believe, is one that should help. But I wasn't able to get that to go before I got on the call today, so I have to unfortunately kick that one back. But I believe it's going to be that. Aside from that, there are tables within decisions that store the assignment data that you could iterate through and pull who's assigned what. But it's a little more advanced to do it that way. So I'm pretty sure those steps do it. I just was unfortunately not able to get them to work in time for the call. Let's see here. So yeah, that was pretty well the questions we had for today. It was a lot of information to digest there in a short amount of time. So if if you had any other questions, please feel free to submit them. Be more than happy to try and work through them with you on live. I'll go ahead and give a minute here, pause to see if anybody's got anything. All right. Well, everybody, I genuinely appreciate everybody's time today and enjoying the lunch and learn. Those are the questions that we had submitted today. And if you have any other questions, please always feel free to join the call tomorrow or submit them ahead of time to support@decisions.com. But if that's it for today, I will let you go have the rest of the time for your lunch. Let's see here. Oh, actually, right as I was done, we had one come in here. Let me look real quick. No, you're totally fine. No problem. I rattled off pretty quickly there. If you're trying to alter the modified date field to only modify on change. So you're talking about if you had a data structure, we'll just say a database structure maybe, or an entity that has a modified date field, or are you talking about this one right here on the, on this particular form right here?
Sorry, I was just typing an essay right now.
Yeah, no worries.
So say if you have a report, and on this report it has one of the fields you would have would be the date of a particular, I guess, record being modified by some
Okay.
metric, right? Now currently there's an issue that I've been trying to kind of navigate around, and it's whenever it is actually changing, the modified data is actually changing whenever a user goes in and changes something about it, so it works like that, and that's great. However, whenever a user would come in and just say view the form or view the record, then it would also change, and that's not great. And I'm trying to figure out exactly where that could be occurring and how you would go about trying to fix that.
So you're saying, we have let's say we're in our folder here that we've been playing with, and we're looking at, this report right here, right? We've got some folders and flows and pages and whatnot in here. And
Right.
we've got, let's say like let's see, do I have so I have my report one here shows the last time it was modified was 12, oops, goodness, was 12/12. And I've got 12/26. So if I click on that and come out of it, does it update? So it doesn't update there.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't on forms and flows either, unless let's look at generate data as an example. So we have 12/07 here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I open this, I'm gonna close back out of it, make sure we're still 12/07. That's good. But if they come in and take a look at it and hit debug, I believe this may actually update. Now that doesn't update either because we haven't changed anything. Would it be, so I guess, are you talking it's more on these, kind of decisions entities, right? Like forms, flows,
Um,
or data associated
I'm
with it?
talking more on data associated, so it would be this.
Okay. That's interesting. Because it shouldn't update, unless somebody has done something to update it. And the only thing I could think of, it may be based on if the if the flows are doing any kind of selective update behind the scene, if they're doing any kind of save behind the scene, like if you're using any active form flows or legacy data flows that are pulling data onto the form, and depending on what they click on, even if they're just viewing it, it executes a save on that entity, that will trigger that modified date to be updated. But that should be the only thing doing it. Because that date should not trigger unless something, again, if you're in a flow, like we'll bring my other one out here, like this create, obviously that's going to create in it. But if I go down to, let's see, test case, like I have a selective update, that'll trigger it to change. The other thing could be, whereas like save entities, this will trigger it to change as well. But those should be the only ones that do that. So it might be worth, if it's on a form, start by looking at the flow after the flow before the form renders, and make sure there's nothing that's doing an update. Even if there's no data to update, it still may trigger that. The other would be to look at your form and see if there's active form flows on it that are running, that, if you change a checkbox here, it's updating a list there, kind of thing. And if there's any sort of save in there that's happening, that'll do it. But other than that, it shouldn't that shouldn't be triggering.
Right.
So yeah, is it that's probably the place to start. I mean, were you able to identify any of this previously?
So I went in and looked for any like active form flows, and I didn't really see anything. I looked at even the view form user action, and I mean it's just view form action. So there's nothing really, I guess you could say, functional, or uh actually that wouldn't be the correct term. It works. It's not necessarily changing anything, right? It's working as intended is what I guess I should say. So it's not something with the user action as well. So trying to identify where exactly it could be. And I was just kind of curious as to see what other places I should probably look to check that I haven't checked before.
Let me check something here real quick. I think there might be use merciful, blah blah blah. Okay. Don't turn it on all the time. But there is a way to enable auditing. So we can hang on, another page open here. Auditing. Report feature query editor, log settings, user report execution. See, none of that's going to be it. I'm trying to see. I swore there was something in here. Data auditing. There it is. It was in there. There we go. Yeah. So you can turn on data auditing here.
Hmm.
And what you do is you find your data type, right? So like all of mine, I know I created in the demo space because they're in the demo folder. So
Hmm.
like if I put test Boolean in here, for example, that one that I've been playing with earlier, we're going to auto archive after 10 days because I will forget to turn this off later. And also for performance sake, put it into queued. So that way you're not waiting on auditing to happen for your results and your other flows to happen. They'll happen in parallel.
Hmm.
But let's turn on our auditing, data auditing on this test one here. And it's saved. Let me look at one thing here. How do I report on this real quick? It is under audited entities. Okay, cool. So let's do, now that auditing is on, let's go ahead and generate more data. Run flow. Okay, that'll update that. So now let's create a report. Report. Let's see what it tells us. Oops, you do have to spell it right though. Audited entities. Okay, let's do entity name. Nothing. Type of change, time of change, type of change. Now email. Interesting. Save. Oh, okay. Then only editing when it's changed. No test Boolean. All right. transaction. Sorry, I know I'm clicking through this quick, just trying to find the right stuff here. Run that. Ah, well, that's interesting. Okay. What if we edit the data that's there? Right. So I've got a report here. Let me turn my column text back on so I can edit stuff. Let's go ahead and edit that, edit that. Okay, those have edited. I come in here. Well, that's neat. Doesn't seem to do any of that. Huh.
Um, hmm.
Well, that should. Audited these, right? Okay, we've got that. Oh, okay, that looks right. Oh, I see. You have to enable it on the data structure. Ah, you can tell I use this all the time, right?
Absolutely.
Let's see. Select is it on each individual field? Certainly not. Ah,
Hmm.
that's interesting. All right, let's look at something else here. Let's do, instead of that, let's do an actual entity. Ah, yeah, there it is. Audit changes. Name, value. Oops. Oh my goodness. Ah, it's always when you're typing in front of people, you never get it just right. Audit changes to test entity. All right. Let's create a couple of these things. Get a folder to put them in. Forgot about that. Right. Now we'll open up our blank flow again. And down here, pop into entities, test entity, go and create one. The folder will be the one I just, that's not what I was looking for. The folder will be the one I just created and build the data. Name, value, date, current date time. All right, that's there. Run, run, run. And if we look, we should have 3 in there, and we do. Okay, cool.
Cool.
Now let's look at our, oh, hey, look, there it is. So it looks like it works on entities. That's interesting. It didn't work on the database structure though. So it's seeing type merge. In fact, it's, well, hold on a second, test. Huh, okay. I wonder if that's auditing changes to, you know what? I think there's 2 things going on here. I think what I just turned on is auditing changes of if people edited the entity itself. So like this is auditing changes to here. I bet it's what that is. So let's do this. Test entity. Let's turn off. Oh, that's funny. You can't once it's on. Oh, there we go. So no longer audit that. Now we come in here. Go away. Okay, so we can see we have a couple more things in here. But really what we want to know is that we've created these, but it's also not very helpful because it's not showing us what actually happened. Oh, there we go. Audit changes was true, change to false, modified date was that, change to that, state was that, change to that.
Hmm.
So now what we want to know though is, okay, we've got this, that's fine. So we know we can track changes to the structure itself. That's neat. But what would be more interesting is if I can take one of these entities I've just created and update it and see if that gives us some useful data in this report, like who did it, what did it, what flow did it. Do that.
Yeah.
Let's pull out create, fetch, demo, test entity. And I'm just going to fetch one. And then let's do update, do a selective update on results here. And we'll update value to 14, name to not test, date to current date time. Let's see, the input is the ID, constant. We're going to pull it from the entity results first. ID. There we go. We got something that should pull and update an entity, and it did. So now what do we have here? Nothing. Oh gosh, you know why? You know why? Because we still don't have it. We didn't enable it on the back end.
Oh, yeah, that um yeah, it's kind of just because I wasn't actually sure if this was something that was within a flow itself, or if it was something that had to do with perhaps the query, and I was just trying to get I guess like a decent diagnosis of exactly because I was kind of like looking at a needle in haystack, and I didn't really know how to take that first step into trying to figure it out.
Gotcha. Yeah, and it looks like we're on the right track here, but the auditing won't. Well, let me turn it back on. Ah, well, that's a bust. I was pretty sure that was going to do what we were looking at here. And I can see where these were saved. I can't see where I'm updating them now. Well, that's the start. I would say, enabling auditing, this is probably going to get you close to what you're looking for. Viewing the history is going to show you how to set up that report I was just doing. It
Mhm.
might be worth going down this rabbit hole for a couple minutes and seeing what you can come up with. And if it doesn't work on yours, just ping support and have them help you walk through it.
Okay.
Because we may be running into something. Either I may just not be setting it up because I'm going too quick, so I might not be doing it right. I'm pretty sure I am. But I that should, I mean, that should tell you when either somebody updates the entity itself, right? Adds fields to it, removes fields to it, but it should also tell you when the data is being changed too.
Right.
So I think that's probably going to be the best bet there. Take a look at this, see if this works for you on your version. And if so, great. And if not, ping supported decisions and have them hop on the call with you.
Right. Okay. Perfect. Awesome. Will do. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. No worries at all. All right. Well, I guess with that, like I said, if anything else comes up, feel free to reach out to us at any time or join the call tomorrow. And we have who was it? Ethan is on there tomorrow from the sport team, and of course Darren on Thursday. Feel free to join us anytime, and we'll be here and ready to try and answer your questions. But with that, I'll go ahead and sign off. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Tim.